There ain't no end to this offseason madness, but it still feels like a pretty good time before we hit the draft to take count of all the crazy, wild moves that have transpired so far.
We got breaking news. Massive breaking news. Russell Wilson is headed to the Denver Broncos.
There is still a lot of time for more NFL craziness. Based on what we have so far, let's dive into the 5 worst and the 5 best moves of the 2022 NFL offseason. Worst. Commanders go all in on Carson Wentz. Yes, the Washington Commanders had to land a new starting quarterback at some point this offseason. We wouldn't have hated the Carson Wentz pickup if they got him at a bargain price. But the big problem is, Washington wound up giving the Indianapolis Colts 2 third-rounders and a 2nd-rounder in exchange for Wentz and a 2nd-round pick. Now, Wentz isn't a terrible quarterback by any means, but if the Colts wanted nothing to do with him anymore, do you really think a dysfunctional organization like Washington is gonna have better luck with the polarizing QB? It makes you wonder why the Commanders didn't just pick up a guy like Marcus Mariota or Mitch Trubisky for free. Or why not trade for a better QB like Jimmy Garoppolo, who they likely could have had for even cheaper. Heck, even Matt Ryan only cost the Colts a 3rd-round pick, and he's even better than Wentz. Washington misread the QB market, and they seemingly panicked by giving up a ton for Wentz. If they waited it out longer, they could have gotten a superior QB like Ryan or Garoppolo at a way better price. Best. Broncos end QB search, land Russell Wilson. In case you somehow missed it, the Denver Broncos went through 6 painful years of mediocre to awful quarterback play following Peyton Manning's retirement in 2016. Well, not anymore. In the early stages of the offseason, the Broncos swung for the fences and acquired Seattle Seahawks superstar quarterback Russell Wilson plus a 2022 4th-rounder. The marriage between Wilson and the Seahawks had clearly run its course, and Broncos GM George Paton pounced on the opportunity while it was there. The Hawks got a beautiful package to kickstart their inevitable rebuild, while Denver landed a 5-star quarterback to help them compete with the other AFC West powerhouses. So Wilson joins a team that features a plethora of weapons, including Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, and Javonte Williams. Denver also happens to boast a championship-level defense, which Wilson hasn't had in a while now. In short, this move makes Denver a legit Super Bowl contender. Sure, the cost was certainly high, but when does a future Hall of Fame QB in the midst of his prime ever hit the trade market? There's no way the Broncos are finding a better quarterback than Russ in the draft. The deal was a win-win-win for everybody. The Seahawks, the Broncos, and Russell Wilson. Worst. The Jaguars signed Christian Kirk to $72 million contract. This one really just boggles the mind. On what planet is Christian Kirk worth more in terms of average annual value than other 2022 free agent receivers like Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Russell Gage, and DJ Chark? The Jacksonville Jaguars handed the former Arizona Cardinal a mammoth 4-year contract worth $72 million. And I'm sorry, but a player with 0 Pro Bowl selections, 0 1,000-yard seasons, and 0 80-catch seasons just isn't worth that money. I understand that sometimes you have to overpay to get what you want, but rather than giving Kirk $72 million, why not split up that money to land a pair of cheaper receivers like, say, Gage or Smith-Schuster, or even Cedric Wilson, for example? Yes, Trevor Lawrence definitely needs weapons, but there were way better ways that the Jags could have gone about getting them. Best. Chargers pair Khalil Mack with Joey Bosa. The rebuilding Chicago Bears were keen to get out of Khalil Mack's hefty contract, and the Los Angeles Chargers were even happier to take it on. Chicago traded the 2016 Defensive Player of the Year to LA for the bargain price of a 2022 2nd-round selection and a 2023 6th-round selection. Just like that, Mack was reunited with Chargers head coach Brandon Staley, who served as the former outside linebackers coach in 2018. Mack missed 10 games in 2021, but still notched 6 sacks. He posted 8.5 sacks every year from 2015 to 2020, so the Chargers know what they're getting, provided that he stays healthy. Mack will form a scary good pass rushing duo alongside fellow superstar Joey Bosa. Between those two men, they have 134.5 career sacks. The 6-time Pro Bowler will help improve a Chargers defense that ranked 29th in scoring D and 30th against the run in 2021. Now, they have 2 explosive pass rushers to get after Mahomes, Carr, Herbert, and all the other top quarterbacks in the AFC. This right here was a brilliant win-now move by Bolt GM Tom Telesco. Justin Herbert is still on his rookie contract, and you gotta make moves like this when the opportunity arises. Getting a future Hall of Famer like Mack without having to surrender a first-round pick? Mwah! Stroke of genius. Worst. Patriots give away Shaq Mason to Bucs. For the second time in 3 years, Bill Belichick was happy to accommodate old frenemy Tom Brady. 2 years ago, Belichick dealt Rob Gronkowski and a 7th-rounder to Tampa Bay in exchange for a 4th-round pick. If you thought that was highway robbery, well, what about the latest trade involving the Bucs and Pats? Belichick traded stalwart veteran guard Shaq Mason to the Buccaneers for the low price of a 5th-round pick. Seems awfully low for a guy that came in at number 35 on Pro Football Focus's player rankings for the 2021 season. When you consider how much money was thrown at offensive linemen in free agency, you really can't help but ask yourself why Belichick would trade Mason for such a low price. If Belichick waited it out, Mason could have easily fetched a way better pick. Even if Mason ends up being a flop in Tampa Bay, as many former Patriots do after leaving New England, a 5th-rounder most likely is not going to amount to much. Best. Von Miller joins NFL's #1 defense of 2021. The Buffalo Bills boasted the NFL's best defense in terms of both scoring and yards. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get past Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round. As great as Buffalo's defense has been under Leslie Frazier, they've had a lack of game-changing pass rushers. Did you know they haven't had a player with double-digit sacks in a season since 2016? And in case you're wondering, Lorenzo Alexander hit 12.5 that year. But the Bills finally addressed that long-term void by landing 2-time Super Bowl champion Von Miller. The future Hall of Famer signed a mammoth 6-year deal worth $120 million. But it's essentially a 3-year deal worth about $52 million when you really break it down. That is quite a bargain for a guy with Miller's postseason pedigree. And last year, he and Aaron Donald joined forces to wreak havoc on Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Joe Burrow en route to another championship. Now, Miller is taking his talents to Buffalo. This is exactly the player they needed all along in their Super Bowl quest. Even if he doesn't fully live up to the contract, who cares? You gotta be aggressive when you're that close to finally winning your first championship. Worst. Broncos sign Randy Gregory for 5 years, $70 million. Randy Gregory was close to signing an extension with the Dallas Cowboys, but the deal fell through at the last minute. In a stunner, he wound up joining the reloaded Broncos on a 5-year pact worth $70 million. Hey, good on Gregory for getting paid and for finding a team that appreciates and values his talents, but this is too much money for a guy who has 0 Pro Bowl seasons, 0 double-digit sack seasons, and, most importantly, hasn't been able to stay on the field. Gregory has been suspended numerous times for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. This included a 14-game suspension in 2016, plus a season-long ban in 2019. He has never played a full regular season. Gregory notched 6 sacks last year and generated 29 QB pressures. That's not bad, but it's probably not worth that $70 million price tag. Gregory's past suspensions and mediocre production make this contract hard to justify. Best. Texans get king's ransom for Deshaun Watson. Will this trade work out for the Cleveland Browns? They're taking the PR backlash and take a ton of risk in acquiring the former Houston Texans star. Only time will tell if this blockbuster is the final piece to help the Browns finally get to a Super Bowl. But nonetheless, the big winners here are the Houston Texans. Say what you want about the constant mismanagement from ownership in the front office, GM Nick Caserio deserves a raise after hitting the jackpot with this trade. The Texans received Cleveland's 2022, 2023, and 2024 first rounders, a 2023 third rounder, plus 2024 fourth round pick. Former head coach and de facto GM Bill O'Brien set this franchise back with a series of mind-boggling trades. But Caserio has suddenly built a promising future in Houston, and he has his franchise in a terrific position to build a long-term winner. With a plethora of draft capital over these next 3 years, Caserio should be able to quickly rebuild the Texans into a relevant franchise once more. Worst, Cowboys give away Amari Cooper to Browns. Entering the offseason, it felt like there was a 50-50 chance of the Cowboys trading or releasing Amari Cooper. Seeing how many teams were desperate for receiving help, the Cowboys should have waited out the market on the 4-time Pro Bowler. But they were fine giving Cooper away to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for the low price of a 2022 5th-round pick. Additionally, the two sides exchanged 6th-round selections. Sure, he's not a top 10 receiver anymore, but look at what Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams fetched. The boys could have held out a little longer and maybe gotten a 3rd-rounder or at least a quality roster player in return. Even if Cooper was overpaid, he was still an integral part of that Dallas offense. But the awful cap management of Jerry and Stephen Jones is what got Dallas here. That Ezekiel Elliott contract sure looks worse with each passing day. Best. Raiders reunite Davante Adams with Derek Carr. Davante Adams told the Green Bay Packers that he wasn't going to play under the franchise tag. Even though they offered him a lucrative extension, the NFL's best wide receiver was adamant about playing in Las Vegas. So, the Packers traded Adams to the Raiders in exchange for 2022 first and second round draft picks. He was then awarded with a monster 5-year extension worth $141.25 million. The move reunites Adams with Fresno State teammate Derek Carr. And, it gives an already potent Vegas offense another special weapon to work with. Josh McDaniels is gonna have so much fun in Sin City next year. Carr was playing at a Pro Bowl level with Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and Josh Jacobs. Now, they have the game's best wideout? Oh man, the sky is suddenly the limit for this offense. But hey, which do you think was the worst move of the 2022 NFL offseason so far? Join us in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.